Hey, brother, and I was just thinking about something I thought maybe I'd make a little video about, shout out about my thoughts. And I was thinking that if we actually move and abide in the Lord Jesus Christ, how it's a very personal thing, how you have individual liberty in that. You don't have the church monster, false brethren telling you what to do when you walk with Jesus Christ. You don't have the state telling you what to do when you walk with Jesus Christ. These things are all separate from the world. But to extend on this a little bit, my thought process is that I realize that in order to be an individual, to be individualistic, which is opposite of what the Illuminati wants. They want to control people. Satan wants to control people. They want the 1984, everybody thinks the same. They want sort of a Marxist state, or at least a socialist state, where everybody's the same. Let's all wear our little red caps and like the Chinese did. Or have our little red books. Let's all think the same. Let's all be the same. So this kind of political thinking really troubles me, especially as an American that has enjoyed individual liberties and freedoms to be able to express himself and not have the heavy boot of government upon my neck. And of course, it's getting worse in this country because everybody's jostling for power in the world, and different groups are, different political groups are jostling for power. But what seems the most important to me is that individual liberty, that right of freedom of expression, freedom of thought, free enterprise, not where you have government controlling things. And so in contrast, that's probably the best we can do as far as freedoms in the world. Not having men enslave us. And personally, I think that the United States done a very good job at that. And so I have a real problem with socialist brethren. I don't understand how socialist brethren think. I know that a lot of brethren that are sort of socialists in their upbringing or their thinking, they want to look out for their fellow man, and they want to, do unto others as people would do unto them. And I understand all that. I get all that. But I don't understand why somebody would be against, like a capitalist free enterprise. I don't get why somebody would be against freedom of expression, liberty, individuality, individual, being able to, kind of like the pioneers in this country, being able to do what they want to do, to be self-sufficient, not to be dependent on government. So these are things that God gives, and the strong arm of government, which our founders understood, take these things away from people, these liberties away from people. And people talk about the Illuminati and how the Catholic Church and the World Banks are, all conspiring. They use one side or the other. They're playing both sides of the pie. They got their people, like in the American Civil War, as this John Birch Society, where they wanted war, terrorism. I forget what the list was exactly, but there was about 4 or 5. But I remember the last one was mass immigration. Mass immigration. And the whole idea was to change a country's society so you could change their government. War, terrorism. And I didn't realize that John Brown was a plant of the Illuminati, which really wasn't called the Illuminati in the United States, but in the slavery movement and in the rebellion movement, he was a plant to start terrorism, to start a war in the American Civil War. I never realized that. I was listening to the man who wrote a book about it, and I thought, wow, we really are pawns in a game. But never mind all that. Fast forward to modern day. I just can't understand why anybody would want to give up their individuality, their freedom and all for a mass movement, a socialist movement. Talk about why, I mean, that's being enslaved to the world. That's not being separate from the world. Individuality, you having those separate freedoms, conservative freedoms, they're the things that create freedoms, not this other mindset. But yet I know brethren that they hate Donald Trump. They say there's Trump worship, all this kind of thing. And I'm sure there are people that worship Trump and think Trump's a god and this. I don't think Trump's a god, but I think he's a businessman. I think he's a man that stands up for America. And if that means standing up for America means stepping on some other people's toes so they don't take advantage, well, so be it. But that doesn't make me a worldly man, because I support a person that he's against abortion. He's against pushing this homosexual agenda. He's against pushing everybody the same. He's against flooding the country. That supports individual liberty and our culture. That's not wanting to overthrow our culture like the Illuminati wants to do and bringing forth one world government. So what I'm trying to say is I don't understand a socialist who calls himself a disciple of the Lord Jesus Christ. There are total odds. You can't love the world and love Jesus Christ too. And they say they don't love the world, but they do love the world, because they love to say have some kind of socialistic, oh, let's be fair to the world. But I'll tell you what, there's idealism and then there's violence. That's what you have in this world. And the best freedom you can have is individual liberty, freedom of expression, freedom of thought, freedom to make money, freedom to, these individual freedoms that everybody takes for granted. It's not socialism. It's not being dependent like we did to the American Indians, for instance, in this country, where we put them on reservations and we make them dependent on the government. That's slavery. That's socialism. And I just don't see how somebody can hate Donald Trump and call themselves a child of God and say they're following Jesus Christ, because the alternative to that is socialism, Marxism. And I'm sorry, maybe there's something I'm missing, but that's the way I see it. All right, good day.